In 1998, the vagus nerve silenced an inflammatory response inside a spleen it has no documented anatomical connection to, and 30 years of neuroscience still cannot account for the mechanism. That detail will matter before this is over. The vagus nerve runs from your brainstem, down through your neck, threads past your heart, branches into your lungs, wraps around your stomach and intestines. It is the longest cranial nerve in the human body. Anatomists have mapped every millimeter of it. Surgeons have cut it, stimulated it, implanted electrodes along it. In textbooks, the picture is clean. The brain sends commands downward, the organs obey. Simple, directional, understood, except the direction is wrong. Of the 100,000 fibers packed inside the vagus nerve, roughly 80,000 run upward, toward the brain, not away from it. Your gut, your heart, your immune tissue are transmitting signals north at a ratio of 4:1. The organs are not receiving instructions, they are issuing them, and the neuroscience community still cannot agree on what those upward signals are actually saying or why the brain appears to obey. The obvious explanation is simple feedback. The body monitors itself. Stretch receptors in the stomach tell the brain you're full. Baroreceptors in the aorta regulate blood pressure. The afferent fibers are just a reporting system, a thermostat sending readings upstairs. That's the textbook model. That's what makes anatomical sense, but here's what breaks it. In 1998, a surgeon named Kevin Tracy injected an anti-inflammatory compound directly into a rat's brain, into the vagus's connection point in the brainstem, the nucleus tractus solitarius. Not into the bloodstream, not near the spleen. Into the brainstem. Within minutes, inflammation inside the spleen stopped. The spleen has no motor connection to the vagus nerve. According to every anatomical chart published before that experiment, the vagus nerve cannot issue commands to the spleen. The spleen responded anyway. Tracy called it the inflammatory reflex. He spent the next 2 decades trying to explain the pathway. What he confirmed, replicated in human trials, eventually embedded in FDA-approved medical devices, is that firing a small electrical current along the vagus nerve can suppress inflammation in tissue the nerve has no documented control over. The device is commercially available. The mechanism does not appear in any textbook yet written. And here is the part the researchers don't advertise. If the vagus nerve can suppress inflammation in an organ it doesn't innervate, it means the body is transmitting information through a pathway that hasn't been identified. Some researchers propose the nerve modulates neurotransmitter release globally, altering the immune landscape without direct tissue contact. Others point to the enteric nervous system, the 100 million neurons embedded in your gut wall, sometimes called the second brain, and argue the vagus is less a command wire than a translation layer between 2 nervous systems that evolved in parallel and communicate in a biochemical language we are only beginning to parse. A third group proposes bioelectric fields, waves of electrical activity propagating through tissue faster and further than nerve conduction alone can account for. None of them hold. The anti-inflammatory effect occurs in tissue with 0 direct nerve connection, which eliminates direct innervation as the mechanism. The timing is too fast and too organ-specific for a global neurotransmitter shift to explain the precision. The second brain model predicts dialogue, but cannot account for what happens when researchers sever those upward-traveling fibers. The psychological and physiological collapse is so complete that subjects cannot regulate basic function. The brain is not merely receiving status reports from below. It depends on those signals in ways we have not mapped and do not understand. You have a nerve running through the center of you that is more mouth than ear. It talks upward at 4 times the rate it listens. It instructs organs it doesn't touch. It controls your mood, your heart rate, your immune response, your digestion, your capacity to feel calm, through pathways that remain, in the most precise clinical language available, unaccounted for. Tracy's rat recovered. The spleen responded to a signal that could not have reached it. The question that has followed that 1998 experiment through 30 years of replication, clinical trials, and FDA-approved implants is the same one no one has answered. If the vagus nerve can act on what it isn't connected to, what else is it connected to that we haven't found?